if everybody's here.
Think.
Or they are just pretending to be here, maybe.
Yeah. We have 3 more minutes. So I think everyone that's going to be here is probably here. So maybe we can jump straight into it. I was thinking that for the second half of class, as an exercise, we could use the boilerplate that Benjamin shared. And everyone, instead of breaking off into groups this time, I think we should just stay in here. It's one less step. I don't know about maybe some of the other mentors can jump in, but I don't think there was a lot of value in splitting off into 3 different groups. So we can all stay in here and then everyone can work individually and we'll be online to help guide and answer any questions. But using the boilerplate, we can create a little server that will just have one route for users that you can then fetch on your React app in the front end and then display that list of users, while also having maybe a client-side route where you've got your home, which shows the list of users, and then one route that is for a specific user profile, so that when you click on a user, you link to their profile and it shows whatever details you want to display. So I will share a link to that boilerplate in the thing here. And then we can just jump straight into the exercise. But does that more or less make sense? I'll type it out in the channel so you can reference it. But
Nice.
all right. So fairly straightforward. Would it be helpful? Maybe I can type out a quick array so that we're all working with the same array of users to return from the server. I'll do that. Okay, you should be able to see the little array of users I've shared now. Can everyone maybe write a yes in the chat so that it's clear everyone knows what the instructions are for the exercises? Is my mic on?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I was just saying if everyone could just speak up to make sure that it's clear what the exercise is for the next half of the class.
I thought you just wanted us to type on Slack, so I just typed S. Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Oh, yes, on Slack. Okay, I meant, yeah, that works too. I'm going to share my screen quick and then we can just do the first part together of actually cloning the repo. This is something you guys will probably end up doing a lot once you want to work on your own and fiddle around with other projects. So if we look here, how do we actually get started with this? So it's boilerplate, quick start. Clone the app, go into the repo, yarn install, start the server, or run the build. Okay. Okay, it appears we have something on port 8080. Hello, Braden Goff. It's me. Okay, so it looks like it's working. So simple as that. And then you guys can just edit the source code and then get going. Maybe we'll put a pin in this at, what time is it now? Quarter to 3. Maybe we'll check in around 3:30 and I mean, we'll be here the whole time at 3:30, 3:45, and then we can see if we've got some time to actually go over it and find the solution together. Let's stop sharing my screen.
Yunus, can you share the root code that you have, please?
Which code?
React router.
Okay, yeah, will. Share this and we'll share this. After that, we can. I've shared it.
Okay.
Yesterday, I had to email someone some code. I literally sent code in an email.
What a world we live in.
Yeah, that was pretty.
I think if you want to make a contribution to, I think it's Linux or some quite old an open source software, you can't do a PR through GitHub. You have to do it through email.
Yeah, actually, that is true. That's Linux. Yeah, there is a huge, somebody tried to open a PR on the Linux repo. It's just a mirror. It's not a repo. It's just a mirror.
Yeah.
And Linus Torvald itself, this is stupid. GitHub doesn't work. Nobody uses GitHub. This doesn't work. So yeah, you need to actually send their mailing group. People will review on email.
Yeah, I read through once, or I'm still slowly working my way through the Pro Git book. If you go on Git's website, and there's a big section on handling PRs via email, and it's not worth reading. I'll tell you that much.
No, not really. But I thinking from a person who spends half of his life actually writing bootable systems and kernel API. I don't think he sees any value in any high level protocols.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
IP, around IP stack, live stops there. Even TCP isn't too high.
Because I'm going to show you something just to make it less annoying. So this boilerplate server, get rid of this stuff here. So it's got an eslint.json file, and it extends Airbnb's ESLint config. If you don't know what ESLint is, basically it goes over your code and makes sure it's formatted in a specific way. But Airbnb is very strict, and for our purposes, I would recommend just deleting this line altogether, and you'll be good. And then it's not going to complain about random stuff like missing semicolons or weird spacing. That doesn't really matter for this exercise. So I would delete that line if I were you, but you don't have to.
Yeah. I'm just trying to refresh my memory on Node.
Sorry, your mic, it's a bit fuzzy. Do you mind saying that again?
Can you hear me now? Is it loud?
It's better, yeah.
Okay. I'm just refreshing my memory on Node.
Yeah.
So how do I like how can I see it running? I just forgot. It just says cannot get. I don't know why.
I'm going to share my screen because I think there's something we can take a look at together, and I'm sure everyone's going to hit this because I even hit it myself and I had to reread the documents, or at least the README of the repo. Which one is it? Is it this one? Yes. Okay. So I'm in the project right now. And if you guys go into the package of the project, you'll notice there's a few scripts here. So you've got your build script, which we won't need to worry about for this project. We've got the start, which runs the build and then serves up our server. But that's not going to show our changes, so we don't want to do that. And then they've got a script for running the client and running the server. But if we look at this dev one here, it'll run both the server and the client at the same time. And it'll react to our changes. So it'll give us that hot module reload we're used to when using Create React App. So what I would recommend you do to get everything running, both the client and the server at the same time, is run yarn dev.
Braden, sorry to interfere, but this seems to be very useful information you are sharing. But can you please start recording?
I was just going to show that tip there, but what information? I guess what you should be taking away from this is it's sometimes important in most projects that you're new to. You should spend a minute looking at the package JSON, because normally there's going to be scripts that are relevant. So I don't think this is, I mean, obviously what I'm sharing is specific to this project, but I wasn't going to share more than that. We already haven't recorded it, but I'll make sure to include that afterwards so that you've got some notes to follow up with, and I'll share it in the Slack channel now. Apologies for not recording.
Braden, I just stuck with the server side. I think it's because I forgot Node, so I'm just trying to refresh it. But when I run in my local host, I just cannot get users. Why is it? Why am I getting that? I just forgot. I'm sorry.
It's hard to say without seeing exactly. That's a good question. Can you share your screen?
Yeah, I think I can, because last week I shared it with you.
Sure, if you can, give it a shot.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so inside my server, I have a folder called data. I have a folder called groups.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the data for JSON, I just put your JSON that you sent.
Yeah.
And inside the roots, and I want the index. Yeah, this is the index.
So in the boilerplate of the project, there was actually an example route already in there. And it's not app.use that you want to use. App.use is for applying.
Get, right?
Yes.
Yes, right. Sorry. Yeah.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so then workload. Okay, so inside the user. It's because I'm not. Okay. But when I hit it for users, should I get something? I've just not started with the client side. I'm just not done with the server side. So
yeah. I mean, you should see something there, I think. It's maybe flip back to your router again.
Or maybe I'll just try this /1. Yeah, this is the.
On your server, you just need to respond with a route with just the users. You don't have to pass IDs to your router. That'll be on the client. Will do that.
Okay, so so this is going to be just this.
So it'll just be like /users, like the one you already have in index.js.
Yeah. The problem that you are having, if you go back to this, if you just command Z.
Yep.
Yeah. The problem with this is that /users will be like matched by this route, and users will be the dynamic ID. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you don't want that. You don't want like random things. So that's why it's better, because this one, it's coming before the get users. The same way we had a problem with the match in React Router. So you should probably namespace it under, as Brendan say, users/.id.
So my index remains the same. So should I change something in my index, like how I get it? App.get.
Oh, okay. So that's actually there is actually, but this should not match. If you go to your you go to the browser, this should not match. This cannot get users one. That's pretty weird. Can you go back again to the code? Users, can you show me get users?
Yeah. This is my get.
Yeah, go down. Yeah, I want to see the route line. I'm interested in the route line.
Oh yeah, okay.
So router, and router is what? Can you check what router is? If you scroll up all the way up, router is express router. This should work. That's pretty weird.
How are you running the server right now? Oh, it's because oh no.
NPM
changes.
run dev.
Yeah, npm run dev. Okay, then it should refresh on the changes. Because I made that mistake initially because I ran start instead of dev, so nothing was refreshing, and I was like, "Why the heck isn't this working?" And it was.
I'm not able to locate where I'm going wrong. I think it's because I forgot Node. I just have to refresh. So I thought.
Yeah, restart the server. I would say restart the server. Anyways, just restart the server. Like JavaScript ecosystem is not the best thing to trust.
You want me to restart the server now?
Yeah, just kill it and start it again.
Yep.
It doesn't even stop properly. Damn it.
I just do npm run dev, right?
Yeah. So if you go to /users /users /5 or something.
Yeah. /5.
Seems to work, no?
It works, right? I should get no match found.
Okay. So process array length filtered response. It was no number ID. Yeah, but filtered ID. So filtered ID, what does it return? It returns an item, and it will say process array length. Did you write this code? Is it you?
Yes, I did it using my Node now.
Yeah, it's really over abstracted, honestly. But
sorry.
yeah, it's fine. But try to avoid this type. Try to avoid unnecessary abstraction, because a wrong abstraction is way more a wrong abstraction is way more costly than the no abstraction.
Okay.
But let me just so array, maybe the ID that you are passing. Oh yeah, because you cannot pass 5. So no array.length. Try to console log filtered ID. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just to see what filter ID is.
Oh,
Not the console is not there. It's on the backend. It's the where you are running dev.
Oh yeah, sorry. But yeah.
Just can you expand the console? It's like too small. Where's our log? No, the log should be in the terminal. Scroll in the terminal.
So it means it doesn't go into the else part. Can I try running it again, or is there some problem?
Yeah, maybe try to move the console log into the if and see.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what did we send as an ID?
ID we did is 5.
5, so it should be right. So try to go inside the if.
Okay. And I'll try to print the ID.
Keep it there and just put another one inside. Yeah. Just say ID. And now delete the just say command K. Command K, I think.
Sorry?
In the terminal, click on the terminal and say command K.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just go again and refresh the browser. There's literally nothing. That is really weird. I'm not sure if the person who built this app is not he's swallowing the locks, or it's our problem.
But when I didn't pass anything, it was going inside each group. I was getting the error message. For example, when it just.
Can you again? Oh, that's the users. That's the localhost. We don't want the localhost. We want the API. They live inside the same route. Like the slash.
I think you need to do /API/users. You're not hitting the API because the front end is not calling the backend, I think.
But it's not like API/users. I just have it as users, right? So maybe.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, my mistake.
Only as users. Yeah.
Okay, my mistake.
The boilerplate is not doing anything. It seems that it's invoking the right function, but it's just like in the flow of your code there is something. So I would say go to get users again.
Yeah.
And is it called param endpoint? Yeah, it's called param endpoint. Really, way before the request.params.id, just try to console log it there. Try to console log something. Yeah, there.
Because are you even hitting the endpoint?
Exactly. Let's try to console hello and request params ID. Just to see.
But are you calling param endpoint even?
Yeah, I think she's calling it down.
Okay.
Try to show him down. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Command K again, just so you delete so we don't get confused in the terminal. Command K in the terminal.
Okay, yeah.
Just so we delete this noise.
Is it? I don't know. Is it because I'm using Safari? I don't know.
No. Yeah, this is pretty weird. Are you sure that where is the server? I think the server is not running on 3000. Can you check back?
Yes, the server is running on 5000. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is the React. You're hitting the React code.
Yeah. Sorry. Right.
Yeah, at least now we can see this. So yeah, so now it's saying that we cannot get request /ID. So now all the route is there's something wrong with not this method, but defining the route. So we want to raise our abstraction to that level. So this line is not running.
But why am I not just getting even this hello or line 8 or 9?
Your handler is not even working.
Yeah. Okay.
Express doesn't even see that there is a function that handles /ID. You can see cannot get, so it means that this function is not registered.
Yeah.
So it will be progressed to make this function run. So it wasn't even running. I'm thinking why.
Is there an option in this that we can request control? No.
I'm not sure. If you go to the index and stick a console log there, just the hello, stick it into the index. Would that work?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you need to export the router inside of the user. I don't know if you're doing this in the user.js.
But she is exporting it. If you see, go to users. Can we double check that?
Yes.
Down, like way down. Yeah.
Okay, the router. Yeah, and can I see how the router is defined?
Yeah, go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that also looks fine.
Yeah, that seems right. Yeah, if you go to index and just stick a hello there or something.
Just the console log?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's running. So can you move this hello to the top of the users file?
Okay. Or I'll just leave it here.
Because something is really weird over here.
Yes.
Yeah, seems to work. So we clearly have a problem with this is a serious problem.
But Swati, I would say instead of like these are kind of just details of how to divide functions up in Express. I would rather just that you go into index.js and just return the function there. So just write where it says get user, there you just write the function that takes the request and the response.
Yeah.
And then do it that way instead, because now you're spending a lot of time on stuff that doesn't matter that much.
Exactly,
you know. Yeah. Because it's on Express, how Express handles routes and stuff like that. So I would probably, if I was you, I would just write a function in the index.js file and just continue that way. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
But I really like your thought of kind of separating out everything. That's really nice. But when it's not working, it's not so relevant for the exercise.
Especially in this type of exercises where speed and doing things is way more important than the
structure. Exactly.
Because we have time shortage. So
okay, we'll do that.
It's app.use, not app.get, as far as I remember. Gesture app.use, not app.get. Can you try to stick a use there and double check that?
It should be get.
Yeah. No, because you're using another, but you need to get inside of get users then.
Which is we have it. Can you test that now? Can you try that?
Which one?
Inside of users.
Can you can you try to run it? Because inside user she has a get, yes.
Yeah, then that should be it.
Yeah, can you try and run it again?
Yay!
Yeah. It's
Wow.
the use.
Okay.
Easy peasy. It only took 3 minutes. And it's
700 people.
20
700 people talking.
Easy. Nice spotted, Jonas.
Okay, so okay, the question is how do I link it with my client? So now that the server is ready, the back end is ready. So how do I give this response.json, this array to my client side?
Yes, you should go to. So you already have a separate server running React on port 3000, right?
Yeah.
So go to that part of the code and stick a fetch localhost 5000, like literally the UI. The URL.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what you should do. But before, I think Brandon said we need to list all users before. So before like getting a specific user, you need to add another route for listing all users. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not muted. Yes, exactly. Okay. So essentially on /home or just /, it'll be a list of all the users. You can just put out their names and maybe have next one that says list of users. And then each of those names should be a link that links to a user profile.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and if you can continue with that and give the screen back to Brandon, so maybe other students can.
Sure.
No, it's completely fine. But please ask again if you ask.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to solve it. Clearly, maybe you know much better than us in terms of Node. But
suddenly feel Node is like a complete new topic. Yeah.
it is. Every time I try to do it, it feels like a completely new topic.
So now when I try to fetch from this, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So when I try to fetch in my client side and React, so this is going to change, right? The ID is going to change.
Yeah.
So from where do I pass this ID as a parameter to the function, to the fetch function? From where do I get it?
So
which ID am I going to check? So where do I get the number?
I would say you have a list of components or a list of things you render. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And and you can think about it as the same as a to-do list. Each component has an ID.
Yeah.
So you can say fetch, same way we did with fetching Giphy and stuff.
Yeah.
You can say like it's a string. It's like a localhost 5000 /user / a dynamic ID.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
okay. So. Where's the other students? Like, are they like crashing it or what?
I don't know, maybe.
Struggling, just to let you know.
What?
I got lost when Swati starts to ask questions, so then I really wanted to see what you were talking about, so I stopped it. But yeah, now it's like I did in the other way. I was trying to do the client side first. Not like I think I misunderstood it. It's just that. I don't know the rest.
Well, I think maybe we can work for another 15 minutes and then we'll take it up together quickly. And then we'll share the solution repo in the Slack, and then everyone's got it there. So you can spend, maybe later this afternoon or tomorrow working on it tomorrow.
Yeah. Cool. But 15 minutes is going to be a lot of time. Oh, God. Yunus, I just can you repeat what I asked before? That how do I get the ID? How do I know which ID I'm using to?
So you have a function.
Yes.
That takes an ID and it says fetch user/.id. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
This part is clear.
Yeah. That's
so you call this function from inside your component, and the component already has access to the ID because the parent passes it to it.
I don't understand, how does the component have access to the ID? I don't understand that.
Because when you map over the list,
yeah,
each time you run the component, you give it the information, the user ID, the username. You pass it to the component as proper. Isn't that right? When you list the users, did you work on the part of listing the users?
Yes. No.
Brandon said that's like the first part. First, you need to list the users. And when you list the users, you can click on one of them to be able to get all his information.
Yeah, okay. So the listing of the users also is in the backend, right? /users. When I click that,
you need to add a new route. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It just returns all the array.
Yeah. Now I feel why is my node code very complex. When I wrote that, and I just wanted to write it because I just wanted it to be clear, but now. I have a question, Yunus.
Yes.
Okay, so when I have the endpoint like users/ID, then in that case I check inside the if statement, like if request.params.id is present, then I do
you are speaking too fast. I'm not that smart.
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. So
yes.
Okay. So when the endpoint is users/ID,
yeah,
I try to hit that endpoint. So how I do is first I check if the request.params has ID. If it has ID, then I do certain things. Right?
No, you will have two different URLs, one for /users and one for /user/ID.
Yep. I can do both of them in the same function, right?
No, yeah, but that's really a bad thing because
okay.
you are mixing two different logics into one function just so you don't, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's just I don't think that's right. I think honestly two different API calls should have two different handlers.
Yeah, but the style of endpoint is the same, right? For example, here we have just param style of endpoint.
Someone is typing. Can you please? Somebody's mute. Can you mute your mic? I'm not sure who it is. But anyways, can you repeat that again?
Yes. So when we did it in our node class, how we separated, or maybe I separated, is like I had function that handles param style of endpoints, another function that handles query style. Because at one point of time we had to work with both param and query style.
But we don't have param or query or anything here. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's only the sense it's okay. So you're saying we have two different functions, right? One for
in the backend. You're talking about the backend.
Yes, the backend. Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. I'll do that.
So in the backend, we have one route for listing all the users, and that route only gets the array and send it.
All right. Okay.
And we have another route that does already what you are doing, like wrote before. So you just need to create a new route now, and that route only gets an array and send it, like 2 lines of code.
Yeah.
Don't try to sort of like over abstract it and make it too smart. Like
dumb
code is the best.
You know, every week it changes. The way I think about the code, the way I write code, it keeps changing. So when I did this node, I felt this was, the best and clear way of writing. Now I feel, no, that's not. I should change it.
That's a really good sign, actually, that you are progressing.
Okay. So I call this API inside component did mount, right? Because I don't have any input element or something.
Yeah, I think component did mount is a good option.
I think these are the types of questions before asking. I think you should experiment and see what the result is.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's a better advice, I would say, than mine.
If you guys were not there, I would just, since you guys are there, I'm just trying to, use you guys as rubber duck.
All right. Is everyone looking at my screen now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. So we'll start from the very beginning. I'll start by cloning the repo again. And we will cd into there. Then we'll run yarn to install everything. We'll wait here patiently.
And can please we start?
Oh, start recording. Yes, Eunice. Yes. Do you mind clicking the big old red button there? I don't know if I can click it from my side.
Yes, I will. Done.
Are we recording? Perfect. Okay, so we're recording. Everything's all good. So install is finished. So I'm gonna open this puppy up. And we already touched on this initially. If we go to the package JSON here, there's a couple scripts. So I know we need to run yarn dev to get things started. I'm also going to remove this. Sends Airbnb because I know I've got some pre-config stuff in my editor and it's going to get mad at me throughout. So I'm just going to save ourselves the trouble there. So I'm going to do yarn dev, get this running. Okie dokie, artichoke, that's me if I ever saw a name before. So let's go into our server. I think it'll be easier to start up the app first or getting the server side stuff done because that'll just be more or less one line. And And we can see here they've already got an example line for us. So API get username, and they're just hitting our operating system, and that's how they're getting my user. So we can actually just write something incredibly similar, app.get, and we'll call it /users. And we'll do, I'm just going to copy this line directly, actually. And then we'll rename that to users. And then this is where we can copy the array. So let's go to Slack. That's company Slack. We want this one. There. We can just, you should have just been able to copy these straight into there. And then we want to respond with this. So obviously this isn't realistic, but for our example, that will work. So let's check to make sure this is actually working as we expect. So we'll go into our client now to not index, we'll go into app. This is now get users, and then we'll go then, and I think we get some data here. I just want to see what that data looks like quickly. Okay. Actually, we'll just get rid of this as well. And we'll change this to users because we'll probably set that to users in a second. So right now, we're just going to make sure our server response works, console.log out the data. We're hitting /users, which we've just set up in here. We expect when we get /users, it's going to send us back this array of lovely mentors. Let's check that over here. So that's working. We'll check our console. Unexpected token at position 0. Interesting. Usually that means there's a typo somewhere. If you catch it before I do, please let me know.
Is there a comma after your users? Is it okay?
Yes, that's called a trailing comma, which is surprisingly loud. Okay, I've got a working version over here. Just going to copy this whole thing on through. See if maybe I just made a typo somewhere.
Yeah.
It's API/users. Yeah.
Yeah.
API/users. Let's restart because that should be working now, but it's still not working. Oh, I know why.
What are you rendering?
I'm just rendering the word hey. We should be able to go API/users right there. There we go. Okay, so I was just, okay, so we've just got a div that says hey, component mount. We've corrected our out, so it's API/users, response.json, and then we're logging out the data. So now, when we look at our app here, we've got users. So our data is this object, and then on that data, we've got a property users, which contains our array. So if I want to go back here, I'm going to destructure users out of data. And then we'll just log it here just to confirm it is what we expect. And we expect it to be that array. It's our array. So then we could just set state here. We'll get this out, and it'll be this.set state. And it'll be users. So let's go back here now. In our little div, we're going to throw up an H1 list of users. And then we are going to throw up a div where we're going to render out all of our users. And we'll do this .state.users.map. And then let's just render out the names. Let's see what we got here. Nothing. I wonder if there's a property that is misnamed. So actually, let's do this here. So if Oh, we can't do that here. In the render method, we'll do if no state.users length. So basically, we're checking here if the length is 0. We'll return div just loading. Interesting. So I wonder. Oh, can anyone see what the problem is here? It needs to be like this. We're not actually passing anything to set state. We're passing the whole users array when set state is an object. Now we're setting users. Now that works as we expect. So now we've got our list of users, which is great. However, we're missing a key. We've got key equals user.id. That's working. So now we need to do, so the server-side routing is working. Now we just need to do the client-side routing. So we need to stop this for a second. We need to yarn add React router DOM. Let it think about itself for a second there. We can run yarn dev again. I'm pretty lazy, so I'm going to go back to Eunice's code and then copy the big import line he had, because to be honest, when you set up a router in your own app, usually you do it once and you never have to do it again. You just add routes as you need them. So don't expect yourself to remember this API. You're always going to have to go back to the docs for this one. I still go back to the docs whenever I need to add stuff to it. But I'm going to start by abstracting this out to a component. I'm going to call it home, because I know I'm going to need to pass that to a route in a second. I'm going to just render, boom. I'm going to take this guy here. Toss him in there. And then we need users. It'll be props.users, which we get props up here. And then down here, we need our browser router. And then we can just start by throwing up a route. And then we'll throw our home in that one. And home takes users. And then we need to say path will be the slash. Okay. Nothing's mad at me. That's great news. That's not loading. That's terrible news. Users is not defined. Am I in the wrong one? So many tabs open. Jeez Louise. All right. Why is users not defined? How much time do we got? Are we running short on time? We got 5 minutes. We can do this in 5 minutes. All right. Why is users not defined? Does anyone see? Props.users. Oh, it's probably not defined in here. Oh, I think this one's easy. So we don't have users. However, we can destructure it. Probably make it easier. You can see const users equals this state. So now that's defined. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right. So we know we need another route as well. And we'll create that route quickly here. Path. Oh, sometimes my computer likes to just not type fast, so now I might have that problem. So, and we're going to navigate to this based on user ID. And right there, we'll just throw a div in there that says, hey. And then to actually navigate to this, what do we need to do? Well, we need to wrap these in a link. So we can actually just change this to a link here, I think. I think this is a link. And then we need to prop, which will be, can someone tell me what we're going to link to?
To the specific user.
And how can we do that?
Sorry, the ID.
Exactly. So we could just pass user ID here. All right. So we'll give her a little reload there. That looks terrible. Let's put a div around that. Not that this is a masterpiece by any stretch. Okay. Cool. So let's see if it works. If I click on this, in theory, we should route to a /1. We do, and it says, hey. But it still renders our other things. What are we missing here?
Are we missing the param to go to the specific ID to get the ID?
Not quite.
We are matching the slash, and slash is common in both.
Exactly. So how can we overcome that?
Either we
Define or something like
different route for home.
It rhymes with itch. The thing I'm thinking of.
It's switch.
There we go. So it's this guy here we're looking for. So this is going to control. Maybe Eunice can explain it again. But to be honest, I think this is one of the more obscure things with routing is this whole switch thing. And then having to understand what path you're going to redirect to. If it seems not simple, that's because it's not really.
Yeah, and I can say something more like we were just discussing this, like as the mentors. The new version of React Router got rid of this complete switch. So there is no such a thing as switch anymore. You don't need to sort of fiddle with things. But I would say always try to stick an exact match.
Exactly.
Yeah, just try to do it now just to avoid the pitfalls. But there is a new version. Go and check the API of it.
So now if we check here, we're on Hey and we're at Route 2, which is great. So if we click this and we go back here, nice. So it looks like it's working. So now we can render out our user. So let's create a user component. Actually, let's call it profile. Sounds more professional. This gets props. And then we'll return our Hey. And then we're going to render the profile here instead. That should be the same now. Perfect. And now what I'm going to pass, there's a lot of different ways you could solve it from here. Here's how I think I would solve it. So I'm going to pass all the users to the profile. Users. And then within the profile, that's where I'm going to use my use params function. So I know we get a user ID on params because we've defined that down here. So that's why when I destructure this, that's how I know it's user ID, which is a bit confusing because it seems a bit magical, and I know I struggle with that a lot. But you set it yourself when you choose it here. So I know I've set user ID, and on props, I know we get users. So I pass those through. And then using that user ID, I'm just going to find the user we're on. So we'll go const user equals users.find. And then we get the user. We can do user.id. We want the one that equals user ID. And let's just check to make sure that works. So we'll console.log our user. Let's go back here. Console. Undefined. Interesting. Are we on a thing? Yes. User. Let's do this. So say again.
The name of it in the route, maybe.
Did what? Sorry.
Check like the name of it in the route. I don't know. Yeah, it seems right.
User ID. Here's what we'll do. We'll log out user. We'll log out users, and then we'll log out user ID. See what's undefined. Users is undefined. Users is defined. User ID. Okay. So this is a tricky one. So if you see on our server here, we defined ID as the number 1. But if we look at user ID, the one we pulled from params, it's a string one. Generally, IDs are strings, and I would recommend you stick to that. However, in our case here, we need to coerce either our user ID or our other user ID to either a string or a number. So here's what I'm going to do. This is a little gotcha. This is certainly a trickier one. So I know user ID is a string, so I'm going to wrap it in number like this. And now we should see user is defined. So that's definitely a little tricky gotcha there. But so we can go here. Now we've got our user. Just throw another div. We'll do user.name and user.favorite color. So let's do an H1 and H3. We can really see what's going on. Nice. So that's more or less what you were meant to do. We can throw some bonus points in there and give ourselves back home so we can navigate around. Toss that there. Now we can go here. We can check out Eunice. His favorite color is orange because I said so. Fernando's is purple. So I will make sure to share this code and this repo with you so you guys can play around with it on your own. Any questions, any thoughts, any feelings, any emotions? We're 3 minutes over time here.
It's just that I really feel it's very cool. It's coming together, the React and the Node that we learned. It's nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, I think this is a fun moment because finally you've got you're at the point where you've learned some backend stuff, and I hope this class has made it clear that it's very easy to forget all that backend stuff, and you should probably go back and sit down and go over it again. Because I think one of the biggest mistakes I made when I was learning is I kind of jumped through courses. I went into a JavaScript course just to learn the basics, and then I went a Node course, and then I took a React course. And by the time I was done this React course, I could build cool UIs and stuff, but like still to this day, I'm terrible when it comes to backend stuff, and I'm spending a lot of time learning it again. But there's a ton of value in being able to kind of combine everything out of the box, click it all together, and it's powerful to be able to create something right away. So hopefully this will serve you well in the final project. Yeah, I'll share the code and stuff.
Okay, and one more thing. I think Priyanka or somebody else, they asked a question before we started the session.
Yeah.
Priyanka, is it you? Maybe if we have some time, we can take.
I don't remember what question.
Even I don't remember.
So did I asked on here or did I wrote somewhere?
You asked here.
I don't remember. I forgot. No.
Okay.
What was that about? Did you remember something? Like what was the question? Maybe I will remember if you.
No idea at all. If maybe somebody else remembers, we can take that, or else maybe we can have it in Slack.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
Well, if anyone remembers it, you know where to find us.
Yeah.
Send us a message. I won't be able to make it tonight or tomorrow. I might be able to do it tomorrow, but I've certainly put a reminder in my calendar so that probably by 6 or 7 o'clock Tuesday evening, I will get that video to you going over the homework. So you've got that as a reference point. You've got the recording of this that I'm sure Eunice will post whenever. And then after this, I'll share the code so you guys can play around with this some more.
Yeah, cool.
Have a good Sunday, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
So much.
Yeah, I want to say something about that before everyone disappears.
Yeah, just that it's 4:30, so here in 20 minutes about putting yourself out there, and I think it'll be really interesting for you. And then I'd like to say thanks to Greg and for teaching the React class. It's been great.
Thank you.
You.